This is a science fiction story about what happens when an extremely advanced yet overconfident species called the predators encounters a scrappy, tenacious species called the humans. The predators are an advanced race that has conquered and ruled the galaxy for centuries. They believe themselves to be invincible and see other species as nothing more than resources to be exploited. Humanity, on the other hand, is a young, ambitious species that refuses to be intimidated by the predators. The story follows the interactions between these two species and explores the consequences of their clashing ideologies. The predators are a highly advanced, ruthless, and expansionist species that rules much of the galaxy with an iron fist. Their technology is far superior to that of most other species, and they use it to maintain a strict hierarchy throughout their empire. The galaxy bends to their will, and they expect obedience and compliance from all who live under their rule. But they hadn't accounted for one crucial factor: human adaptability and resilience. When the predators first encounter the humans, they are surprised by their tenacity and resourcefulness. Despite being vastly inferior in technology and power, the humans refuse to submit and instead find ways to resist and adapt to the predators' oppressive rule. As the story progresses, we see the predator's worldview being challenged and ultimately overturned by the humans' sheer will to survive and thrive. One of the main themes of this story is the danger of complacency and overconfidence. The predators' belief in their own invincibility leads them to underestimate the humans and their potential to adapt and overcome. Their rigid, unyielding rule stifles innovation and progress, which makes it easier for the humans to find weaknesses in their system. The story also celebrates the power of diversity and adaptability. The humans' willingness to embrace change and learn from their experiences allows them to evolve and improve over time, ultimately leading to their triumph over the predators. Moreover, the story challenges the idea that strength and power are the only things that matter in the universe. The humans may not be as physically powerful as the predators, but they possess qualities such as intelligence, creativity, and compassion that ultimately prove to be far more valuable. The predator's inability to understand and appreciate these qualities is what ultimately leads to their downfall. As the story reaches its climax, we see the tables turn and the humans take control of the narrative and their own destiny. They use their wit, adaptability, and refusal to give up hope to outmaneuver the predators and establish their own society based on cooperation and shared prosperity. In conclusion, this story serves as a reminder that no matter how advanced or powerful a species may be, they should never underestimate the power of diversity, adaptability, and the will to survive. The predators' arrogance and inability to learn from their mistakes ultimately lead to their downfall, while the humans' humility and willingness to embrace change allow them to thrive. The story is a testament to the power of storytelling and the importance of embracing diversity in all its forms. By challenging the status quo and refusing to accept things as they are, the humans are able to create a better future for themselves and pave the way for other oppressed species to do the same. The mighty galactic empire fleet enters human space. Alien commanders are confident, another primitive race to conquer. They see small human ships and laugh at their size. But the humans do something strange. They laugh back. Suspense. Why would weak humans laugh at the strongest empire? A knock came at the door. The human captain opened it and ushered the newest recruit inside. "Come in! Come in! You just made it in time for our weekly Galactic Bullies Anonymous meeting." The recruit froze, his eyes widening. "Galactic Bullies Anonymous?" "Yeah," drawled a gruff voice from the shadows. "It's what we like to call this little shindig where we swap stories about the worst of the worst, the scum of the galactic dumpster, the low lives who make a living preying on the weak and innocent, those who hide behind their parents' money and power to abuse others without consequence." The recruit gulped. Do you mean the Empire?" The captain leaned back, a slow grin spreading across his face. "Oh, kiddo, you have so much to learn. Come in, sit down. Let me tell you about the greatest bullies in the known galaxy. And no, it's not the Empire. The room was small, barely big enough to be considered a private room on most ships. Barely enough space for the 5 mismatched chairs arranged in a circle that dominated the small room. One by one, new recruits were ushered in, each bearing the same confused expression. Eventually, all 6 chairs were filled, and the captain cleared his throat. All right, story time. First up, Mike here is going to tell us about a little war he used to call home. The man to the left of the captain sighed dramatically. All right, fine. But don't blame me when you have nightmares about this one. Call it the balkanization of Beta Z. It was brutal. And so the stories began. The human recruits sat mesmerized as their fellow humans spoke of worlds bathed in nuclear fire, of entire nations wiped off the face of the earth, of spaceships so large they blotted out the sun, of horrors that would curdle the blood of the most jaded spacer and make the bravest soldier cower in fear. Yet, as the night wore on, something strange happened. The recruits stopped looking so shocked and horrified. In fact, a few of them were starting to look a bit bored. The captain noticed, of course, and he wore an expression of feigned sympathy as he listened to the latest tale of galactic villainy. When the spacer finally fell silent, the captain asked, "So what do you think?" "Oh, you humans sure do love your stories," the spacer said with a shrug. "Sounds like some of your species real rough around the edges. Reminds me of the time I got caught in the crossfire between the Crimson Corsair and the Red Nebula Raiders. Yeah, that was a crazy one. Talk about a bunch of space hicks causing trouble." The captain blinked, taken aback by the apparent lack of reaction. Then he recovered quickly. "Ah, so you're telling me that after hearing about all the evil in the galaxy, you're not scared?" The spacer tilted his head, genuinely confused. "Why should I be scared? Do I look scared to you?" He gestured to himself. "Look at me. I'm the most normal thing in this room. I've seen things that would curdle your stellar nursery. I've fought in battles that would blot out the light of 1,000 suns. Do I look scared to you?" The captain stared at him for a long moment before a slow grin spread across his face. "Kid, you have a lot to learn. Welcome to the family." As the rest of the recruits filed out of the room, shaking their heads in disbelief, the captain turned back to the one who had spoken. "Tell me, how many birthdays have you seen?" The man shrugged. "Not enough, apparently." "How many have you seen?" "Enough," the captain said wistfully. "To know better than to trust a spacer with a blaster. We might be a rough bunch, but at least we're honest. Now get out of here. You're giving me a headache." Once the door was closed, the captain sank into his chair with a sigh. His headache was getting worse. It was going to take more than a few drinks to fix this one. As he massaged his temples, he muttered to himself, "How are we supposed to scare these kids straight if they don't even flinch at the tales of galactic horror?" The galaxy is in shock. For months, all anyone can talk about is the incredible might of the Empire, the brutal efficiency of their star destroyers, and the terrifying power of their planet-killing superweapons. But now, all anyone can talk about is the humans. How are they not only surviving but winning? We've seen humans unleash weapons that were thought impossible. Railguns that punch through Star Destroyer armor like it's made of paper. Stealth drones that infiltrate Imperial facilities undetected. EMP blasts that fry entire fleets. And we're just now learning about other weapons in the human arsenal. Weapons that may be humanity's best chance to win the war. In a galaxy full of blaster fire and lightsabers, few weapons are as feared as the thermal detonator. A small device packed with enough explosives to level a city block, its primary purpose is to destroy starships. But while commonly used by the Empire, it's rarely seen in the hands of the humans. That is, until now. We saw it used in the battle over Coruscant when desperate human forces managed to board an Imperial shuttle and bring it down inside the planet's atmosphere. It was a kamikaze mission. A single survivor managed to escape with vital intelligence about the upcoming invasion of the core worlds. But first, he had to watch as his ship was blown to atoms by a well-placed thermal detonator. Few weapons are more iconic than the RPG. Originally designed as a last-ditch effort to defend the Outer Rim from marauding pirates and slavers, it soon became the standard weapon of human resistance against the Empire. But some say its true power comes in its versatility. While some models are designed for anti-material use, taking out enemy vehicles and fortifications, others are optimized for infantry combat. Yet others have been modified to fire explosive or concussive rounds, ideal for clearing out Imperial bases or hunting down stormtroopers. There are few sights more terrifying than a human gunship raining death down on the battlefield. These low-slung, heavily armed transports are instrumental in the human war effort, able to move large numbers of troops into the thick of battle where they can unload their cargo and then fly back to safety before the enemy even realizes what hit them. But for all their offensive capabilities, few weapons are as despised by the Empire as the humble mine-sweeping drone. First appearing during the early days of the war, these small, nimble craft quickly became a thorn in the side of Imperial forces. Able to slip through the tightest blockade, they can be deployed in massive numbers to overwhelm an enemy fleet. Even worse, their small size makes them extremely difficult to detect on radar, meaning an entire fleet could be crippled before anyone even realizes there's a threat. In one engagement, a single mine-sweeping drone caused over 20 billion credits in damage to an Imperial dreadnought, a feat that earned it a place in galactic infamy. But no human weapon is more feared by the Empire than the railgun. Combining the stopping power of a heavy blaster with the range of a starship turret, this devastating weapon can punch through the toughest Star Destroyer armor with ease. What's more, its shells are smart, able to track their targets and adjust their trajectory mid-flight, making them almost impossible to dodge. When combined with the accuracy of human gunners, the result is devastating. But for all the firepower at their disposal, perhaps the most effective weapon the humans have against the Empire is their speed. Where the Empire is slow and deliberate, the humans are quick and deadly, striking where the enemy is least prepared and then disappearing before reinforcements can arrive. It's a stark contrast to the way the war has been fought for decades, and it's catching the Empire completely off guard. So while the galaxy watches in shock as the humans take out another Star Destroyer or bring down another Imperial plane, let us not forget that every human victory brings the Empire one step closer to defeat. The humans have shown that they are more than capable of holding their own in a fight, and it won't be long before the tide of war turns completely in their favor. Now check out some of our other videos on the untold stories of the Star Wars universe. Or better yet, tell us in the comments which human weapon you would want to see unleashed against the Empire. Don't forget to subscribe and join the rebellion. You know I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Humans are dangerous. Not because of their technology, not because of their numbers, not because of their cunning or their industry or their sheer bloody-mindedness. No, humans are dangerous because they are unpredictable. Because when you threaten them, they don't run away. They don't submit. They laugh at you. Now, some of you may be thinking, that is an exaggeration. Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a human colony in the wild? Have you ever seen what they're capable of when left to their own devices? When you do, you will understand that there is nothing more terrifying in the galaxy than a human colony in the wild. You see, other races, we all have our limits. We all have our breaking points. For the Klatooinians, it was the Great Purge. When Darth Sidious came for them, they had nowhere left to run. Their fleet might have been able to escape, but where would they have gone? What planet would welcome them with open arms? What world would allow them to keep their slaves? What other race would accept them as equals? They wouldn't. So the clones purged them. And today, only a handful of planets dare to harbor a Klatooine, and they live there in fear of discovery, in the shadows, hiding their lights. The Wookiees, they were almost hunted to extinction by the Empire. Their homeworld of Kashyyyk was devastated by the clone army. Their warriors, their greatest heroes, were imprisoned in the infamous Rosher prison, tortured for information that didn't exist. Oh, but they have Chewbacca. He was there, wasn't he? Right by Han Solo's side. But how many more Wookiees does it take to make one Chewbacca? One bowcaster bolt to make one Wookiee cower behind a tree? The Empire almost broke them. The Twi'leks, they took a heavy dose of reality when Admiral Trench and his droid army rolled into their sacred city on Ryloth. The Twi'lek resistance fought bravely, but against an unstoppable droid army, what were they to do? Their cities were destroyed, their sacred sites desecrated. And then General Grievous came for Mother Talzin, the most powerful female Twi'lek who had ever lived. He chopped her up into pieces right in front of everyone and fed her soul to the dark side. Her spirit is gone, lost forever. Or so they thought. But the humans are different. You can threaten their worlds. You can burn their cities. You can slaughter their people. You can do to them exactly what you want, and they will still find a way to laugh in your face. Why? Because humans don't fear death. They've stared into the abyss and laughed. They've danced with the devil and made him tap dance. They've fought gods and won. Hell, on their homeworld of Earth, they fought each other to the brink of oblivion. Volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, plagues, diseases, wars, economic collapse. They've seen it all, and they've survived it all. Nothing terrifies them because they've seen it all before. Nothing surprises them because they've heard it all before. Humans are dangerous because they don't break. They laugh in the face of danger and plot their revenge. And that is why the whispers have begun in the Outer Rim, the same whispers that once heralded the fall of the Republic. Now they speak of another savior, another liberator, the humans. If they can fight the Empire, maybe humans can lead us. If they can survive anything, maybe they can get us out of this mess. Well, here's something else you should know about humans. They don't want to be your leaders. They never have. Not the Jedi, not the Hutts, not the Galactic Senate, not the Galactic Empire, not anyone. The only thing humans want is to be left alone. The only thing standing between the galaxy and the humans is the Empire. And if you ask me, that's how it should stay. This is your host. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you. Always remember, a Padawan is never too old to learn, too strong to teach, and never far from the Force. The bridge of the flagship was in an uproar. The captain screamed at the tactical officer as the view screen in front of them displayed the impossible. For 3 days, their fleet had been in hot pursuit of the rebel human vessel. For 3 days, their sensors had tracked it, locked onto it, and watched it flee into hyperspace just before their weapons could connect. And now, here they were, back in the same system, watching the humans make use of a distress beacon to bring in reinforcements. On the view screen, the human ship emerged from hyperspace, followed by another, and then another, and then another. One by one, they all dropped out of hyperspace around the flagship, boxing them in. Their weapons all turned towards the flagship. The captain felt a chill run down his spine. This was bad. really bad. He barked orders, but his voice echoed in the vast emptiness of the bridge. He knew there was nothing he could say that would change what was about to happen. Their only hope, their one chance, was gone. The humans had cut off their escape route. They were trapped. And worse, they were trapped in a holding pattern with no way out. If those human ships opened fire, every single vessel in their fleet would be destroyed. There wasn't a single ship in the Imperial Navy that could survive the combined firepower of this fleet. They wouldn't even have time to jump to light speed. As the lead ship opened fire, the captain could only watch in horror as his own ship was obliterated. But something was wrong. It wasn't right. Where were the lasers? Where were the missiles? Where were the bombs? Instead, he saw something he couldn't believe. He saw soldiers. Hundreds of them lined up along the open gun ports, firing at his fleet with real guns. Energy weapons, yes, but not the kind the Empire used. These weapons were crude compared to what the Empire had, but effective nonetheless. They fired at the fleeing ships, riddling their hulls full of holes. He tried to turn away, but it was too late. The bridge of his ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light and flame. As the flagship fell, the rest of the fleet broke off their attack runs and fled into the blackness of space. It was a rout. The Empire was retreating, not in a well-ordered fashion, but in panicked disarray. As the last ship disappeared into the darkness, the humans made their victory complete. The bridge of the flagship was silent now. The captain slumped over his command chair, his face pale, his eyes wide with disbelief. What had just happened? How could they lose? They had overwhelming force. They had the best pilots in the galaxy. They had the most powerful ships. So why were they running away? Why were they scared? Then it hit him like a physical blow. These humans, these brave, crazy, reckless humans, had stared death in the face and laughed. That's it. The humans had decided that if they were going to die, they were going to do it laughing. And in doing so, they had struck terror into the heart of the Empire. As the flagship limped away, the humans gathered on the bridge of their ship, watching the Empire flee in silence. Finally, one of them spoke. "Did we do it?" he asked. The others looked at him, their faces filled with wonder. "We did it," one of them whispered. "We actually did it." A cheer went up, and the humans celebrated their victory over the Empire. But as the cheers died down, one of the humans stepped forward. He looked at the fleeing ships, and a grim look settled on his face. "They're not giving up," he said. "They're regrouping. They'll be back." The others looked at him, understanding dawning on their faces. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. The Empire had ruled the galaxy with fear, with the threat of violence, with promises of reward. But none of it had worked with humanity. The humans had stood up to the Empire and laughed in the face of their power. The Empire didn't like that. The Empire didn't take kindly to being laughed at. The humans had humiliated them, and the Empire would never forget it. Now the question was, what were the humans going to do about it? Would they cower in the face of the coming storm, or would they stand their ground? The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance as the humans made their decision. And that's the end of Part 3. But the story is not over. In fact, it's just begun. What will the humans decide? Will they become the heroes of the galaxy, or its next rulers? You decide in Part 4. Click here to continue the story.